And local AIDS activists gathering today to highlight World AIDS Day. World AIDS Day is actually held on December 1st. The effort encourages public support to prevent the spread of HIV and demonstrate compassion for those infected or affected by the disease.
The face of AIDS runs the gamut, and that's the important thing here. If we look at how it's transmitted from one person to another through sex or through blood to blood, then basically it can affect any and all of us. So we need to be able to recognize the ways it's transmitted and to support the people who are positive.
A series of events will be held during the week of December 2nd, starting with a candlelight vigil at the Liberty Bell in downtown Bakersfield that night.
Well, get educated, get tested, and get involved. That's the message behind World AIDS Day in the global fight to stop the spread of HIV. World AIDS Day is December 1st, and members of the group Bakersfield AIDS Project are planning a candlelight vigil and march. The group announced its plans to gather in front of the Liberty Bell on Truxton at 7 o'clock that night to honor loved ones who have died, as well as those who have survived the fight against AIDS. The event will include guest speakers, entertainment, and booths will be set up to provide free information to the public on HIV and AIDS prevention, as well as services available here in Kern County. For more information about World AIDS Day events, see the organization's website at www.bakersfieldaidsproject.org.
The candlelight vigil is planned for this evening to honor the memory of those who have died from AIDS and for those who are living with the disease. It's being put on by the Bakersfield AIDS Project. Audrey Chavez founded the Bakersfield AIDS Project after losing her brother to the disease. So this is something, I'm so glad you're here, because this is something that, you can speak to from a human angle. It's not just the disease, but it's the face that goes along with it. Tell me what it's like. I mean, you're remembering today a lot of people, but your brother, I mean, that's so close.
Yes, it's one of the hardest ways to learn about AIDS and its effect on our families today and also globally. I mean, having someone who's HIV positive is just mind-boggling, and when someone in your family suffers, everyone feels the effects of it, and of course has the hope and the love and just wants their loved one to have a dignified life.
And this is something you can speak to. I'm blessed to not have had to deal with this, but I've heard that oftentimes it's actually harder for the family, harder for the friends than it is on the person that's dealing with this. What could you add to that?
Well, I know that it is tough, but I definitely feel for persons who are positive simply because some of the regimens can be tough. I think the anger and the denial and the stages that they have to work through are hard, and also in my brother's case, the loss of life. I think ultimately everyone has dreams and goals, and I don't think acquiring AIDS or living with it is one of those goals that we have in our lives.
Where do you think we are today as far as awareness? I mean, you rewind 30 years, people wouldn't even get in the same pool with someone who had AIDS. Where do you think we are today as far as the myths or the awareness of what the disease is really all about?
Well, I think a lot of us who have learned a lot certainly have come around and realized that compassion is very important. But even today, just 6 weeks ago, we had someone that passed away at Ricky's retreat whose family members did not want to be contacted until after she died, and so we became her family for her. So it is tough. I think people are too worried about what others think and really just don't do what's humanly correct, which is to love and to support each other regardless of what we deal with in life.
Let me go ahead and put up some information that we have about the vigil that's going to begin tonight around 7 o'clock, Liberty Bell in downtown Bakersfield. You'll find that on Truxton Avenue in downtown Bakersfield. Hey, we got to wrap, but really quick, I do want to talk about this. What is this quilt that we have here?
This quilt here is block number 3182, and it happens to be my brother Ricky's quilt. Of course, he's not the only one in this section. There are 7 other lives that are sewn together, and this is part of the largest traveling art exhibit in the world. And so they're here to bring a face to AIDS. They're here to say it happens locally, and also a message of prevention.
Yeah. I love that you said that that it happens locally, because a lot of times you think, not here, but yes, it is happening here. All right, Andrea, thank you so much, or Audrey rather, thanks so much for being with us.
Well, members of the local community spreading the word about stopping AIDS today. They gathered at the Liberty Bell in downtown Bakersfield this afternoon. Their goal, to create awareness and compassion for people living with HIV in our community. They stressed the importance of fighting against the HIV epidemic in Kern by reducing the stigma, gathering support, and stressing the importance of prevention.
To get tested, everyone should get tested. Anyone who has any kind of risk factor, anyone who is having sex at all should get tested.
Activists also encourage support for those living with HIV and AIDS.
Well, one local group reached out to an often forgotten group when it comes to AIDS awareness. B-GLAD, the Bakersfield and Greater Los Angeles Agency on Deafness, held its first ever Deaf World's AIDS Awareness and Memorial. The group is working to provide the deaf community education on HIV/AIDS as well as safe sex awareness. Event organizers say the deaf and hard of hearing are likely 8 years behind in education due to the lack of accessible information. And to commemorate World AIDS Day, local activists will gather once again in front of the Liberty Bell downtown. This candlelight vigil has become an annual event, and supporters come together to honor those who have lost their battle to AIDS. Tonight's vigil starts at 7 p.m. at the Liberty Bell on Truxton. Members of the community and activists gathered at the Liberty Bell this evening to commemorate World AIDS Day. The names of those who have lost their battle with AIDS was read during the candlelight vigil. The Bakersfield AIDS Project says while tonight's vigil was held to remember those who are no longer with us, it's also a time to remember that there's hope that one day there will be a cure. Organizers say progress is being made daily, and already there's better treatment, resources, and housing for those in the community living with HIV and AIDS.
The global community commemorates World AIDS Day today. A new report from the Centers for Disease Control estimates 1.1 million people are living with HIV in this country. 17's Victoria Spillabati joining us live tonight to show how this disease is affecting people locally. Victoria?
Jim, the health department says about 1,900 people in Kern County are living with HIV or AIDS, and tonight those who have lost a loved one to the disease will come down to the Liberty Bell for a candlelight vigil to remember them. Miguel Sotelo has been living with HIV for 8 years. He says he contracted the virus through heterosexual sex. Rejected by his family, Sotelo came here to Ricky's Retreat in Bakersfield. It's a home for those living with AIDS or HIV. Sotelo says the people here have become his family.
It was like a fish out of the water. I said, oh, God, what am I going to do now? And I went to hell and back.
Sotelo says his diagnosis was hard at first, but a positive attitude and a cocktail of drugs got him through. He is down to just a few pills a day and is well enough to help out Audrey Chavez around the retreat. Chavez founded Ricky's Retreat years after her brother died of AIDS. She's been working to change the stigma attached to the disease.
We have worked really hard for people to understand that AIDS is about people. It's about individuals from our community, from our families, people of faith and people of different socioeconomic status, but overall and underlying a person, a human being.
Chavez says she knows about 150 people who've died of AIDS. The Public Health Department held a conference in light of World AIDS Day. The department says since the HIV epidemic hit in 1981, Kern County has had about 2,600 cases of HIV.
The numbers for Kern County continue to increase for cases that have been diagnosed with HIV and AIDS. Fortunately, because of the introduction of antiviral medication in the mid-1990s, the numbers of deaths have continued to decline in our county.
The department suggests getting on treatment like Sotelo did. He says he is living a normal life. The vigil at the Liberty Bell begins tonight at 7 p.m. Everyone is welcome to attend. Reporting live in downtown Bakersfield, Victoria Spillabati, 17 News. Jim, the vigil begins tonight here at the Liberty Bell at 7 p.m. Everyone is invited to come out and light a candle. The Public Health Department says about 700 people have died of AIDS in Kern County since the HIV epidemic broke out in the 1980s. They say HIV cases are on the rise here, but antiviral drugs and treatment have decreased the number of deaths from AIDS. The department says HIV in Kern County affects mostly low socioeconomic groups.
We need to reduce the stigma. This isn't just a gay man's disease anymore. And everyone that has any kind of risk factors at all or is having sex at all should get tested for HIV.
Stigma is a barrier to treatment. It's a barrier to getting tested. And so you have folks who avoid it because they don't want to face the stigma of being HIV positive.
One place where HIV positive people can go to avoid the stigma is Ricky's Retreat. It's a home for those living with AIDS or HIV. The Public Health Department says about 1,900 people are living in Kern County with the disease. They say most are paying upwards of $600 for medication each month. The department says people with the disease need more access to low-cost health care and support systems like Ricky's Retreat. And if you'd like to come out tonight for the vigil, again, we're at the Liberty Bell. It starts at 7 p.m. You can already see volunteers behind me here to set up. You're encouraged to wear red, the color that symbolizes World AIDS Day. Reporting live in downtown Bakersfield, Victoria Spilabati, 17 News.
A candlelight vigil was held in downtown Bakersfield tonight for victims of HIV and AIDS. Dozens of people gathered for the vigil at the Liberty Bell, one of several local events commemorating World AIDS Day. In addition to remembering those who have lost the fight, this was an opportunity to reach out to others and break down stereotypes.
We could be doing anything else with our night, but it's important to stand in global unity, whether we're remembering, whether we are supporting people who are positive, or also for prevention. We want to be able to keep our HIV negative community negative and healthy while being compassionate to people who are positive.
According to the Health Department, 1,900 people in Kern County are living with HIV or AIDS.
Por otro lado, también hoy se celebró por anticipado el Día Nacional contra el SIDA. El propósito es concientizar al público sobre la prevención del VIH, pero también, y más importante, mostrar compasión para quienes lo padecen.
De nosotros son sagrados. Todos tienen que prevenir, agarrar este virus, y si nosotros tienen el virus, viven con el VIH, ellos necesitan apoyo y amor.
O quienes tienen un ser querido infectado con esta penosa enfermedad. El Día Nacional contra el SIDA se conmemora el 1 de diciembre. Iniciará con una vigilia en la campana de la libertad. Una activista local ha sido clave en la organización de este evento.
Hoy es el Día Mundial de SIDA. En honor a esto, hoy hablamos con un paciente que sufre de esta enfermedad que afecta la vida de muchos cada año. Según oficiales de salud, más de 3.500 personas son diagnosticadas con VIH en el condado de Kern. Miguel Sotelo vive en este hogar en el este de Bakersfield, que también es conocido como Ricky's Retreat. La casa ofrece asistencia a pacientes que tienen virus inmunológico humano. Sotelo recibió la noticia de su enfermedad en el 2002. Cuando le preguntamos cómo reaccionó su familia cuando supieron de su estatus de salud, él nos dijo que...
Se informaron no por mí, por otras personas que desparramaban el costal de frijoles, como lo dicen.
De acuerdo a un artículo de CNN, 2.6 millones de personas son infectadas con VIH a nivel mundial cada año. Sabiendo esto, Adri Chávez, del proyecto de SIDA de Bakersfield, ayuda a decenas de personas anualmente.
Nosotros ganamos esta casa porque era mucha discriminación para la gente que tenía el virus o SIDA.
Ricky's Retreat también es una casa de rehabilitación que empezó hace más de 6 años. Su nombre es simbólico para la señorita Chávez.
Es importante porque mi hermano murió del SIDA y nosotros como una familia no sabemos qué es SIDA, pero nosotros le amo mucho a mi hermano.
Sotelo tiene este mensaje para el público.
Que se protejan, porque ahorita está esto cada más creciendo, y que hasta en los niños inclusive.
Cada año en Estados Unidos, cerca de 56,000 personas son infectadas con VIH de acuerdo a oficiales de salud. Si usted desea hacerse una revisión médica, la clínica Mount Vernon en Bakersfield ofrece exámenes de este virus todos los días. Para más información, llame al 868-0503.